You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now on the Mo Kelly Show, it's Tiffany Hobbs, the viral load. She'll speak of all the viral things social media can bring. Facebook, Insta, X, TikTok, the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs. Viral load, the viral load. Viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI AM 640 is Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Let's get to the viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
Good evening, Mr. Mo Kelly. We have stories tonight from TikTok, quite a few stories from TikTok, in fact, and other places. But we're going to start with one simple question that actually may not be that simple. We'll see how much you know, because you are a very well-versed man, a very educated man who is good at English. Do you happen to know what quametrophobia is?
A fear of quadrumets.
Not quite, but perhaps. I think you're a little off there. We could spin this.
Things which measure 4 inches in length.
Not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. Okay. Quametrophobia is actually the fear of cemeteries. A fear of cemeteries. It's a fear I don't have. I enjoy visiting cemeteries. I will walk through a cemetery for cardio. I'm sure Claudine would be happy to know that. And I really just generally enjoy the peace that cemeteries bring, but not everyone enjoys cemeteries. And where am I going with this story? Here. On TikTok, there's a woman who goes by the handle, The Clean Girl. And her main job is to visit cemeteries, and she cleans off the unkept grave sites of people she doesn't know. She does this because she wants to provide something called perpetual care. And in many cemeteries, you can pay a premium to have the grave site that you have paid for taken care of, spruced up, fresh flowers, planted or collected. And in this case, the Clean Girl goes around to cemeteries in her area, and she does the cleaning for free. It's just a courtesy that she provides, because she says everyone should have a nice grave. However, as she has posted all over her TikTok, her examples of going to different graves and cleaning, because this is what she does. She'll go to a grave site, she'll clean it, she'll kind of do a grand reveal of the name if it's obscured because of mud or whatever it may be. She's received a lot of backlash from the social media community who do not agree with her taking the means to clean these graves. People are saying she should get permission from the family first, that this sort of thing is disrespectful by removing perhaps dead plants, or just kind of standing and being around these grave sites, again, without the permission or the knowledge of the family who is akin to this person in the grave. There are people who do appreciate what she's doing. And for this, she has TikTok largely divided between people who are supporting what she does and people who are vehemently against it. What say you?
Yeah, I'm caught in between, if only because I can appreciate the sentiment behind it. But I also know, and I have some relatives who would be very angry if you removed some flowers or a card or whatever was placed on that grave. And then I'm reminded that, well, someone's going to remove it anyhow, because they usually, with cemeteries, they do have someone responsible for that.
They do. And because the Clean Girl recognizes that often you do have to request such a service, let's say if the grave is extremely old, or if you do want that sort of continuous care, she does provide this as a service for the family. And she doesn't seek out any sort of recognition from the family. This is just something she does. So she has turned TikTok on its ear in that regard, because it is sparking up a lot of debate as to whether or not you should touch someone's grave, even if it's to clean it. The next story is for all of us, I would say, north of 40 years old, because not you, Mo, I'm
east of 40,
very southeast of 40. Many of us grew up using cassette tapes. I did. I imagine everyone in the studio has, or at least you were exposed to cassettes at some
Stefan
place.
might have been CDs. Stefan, were you CDs or cassettes growing up?
I was kind of right in between. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
both.
Both. So you have seen cassettes, Steph. Do you happen to know how to open a cassette tape case?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Mark, can you open a cassette tape case?
I can, yes.
Mo, I imagine the same goes for you.
Of course, of all the cassette tapes that with the tape got tangled and mangled and caught in the machine and everything. Yeah, I've done all that stuff.
Taped over
Right.
it,
All
taped
of that.
something from the radio. And
Yep.
you had this conversation last week when you guys were talking about your histories in radio and just the antiquated nature of a lot of the equipment. Well, in this case, what's also going viral on TikTok is that Generation Z is being presented with a cassette tape case, and they're being told to open the cassette. What you're finding on TikTok is that many of these young people who are under 30, very easily under 30, usually in their early 20s, can't open a cassette tape. They're fumbling around for it. And of course, someone's recording and they upload this footage to TikTok so that the internet can scour them and just rip them to shreds. But they're finding that this technology is so sophisticated, this 40-year-old technology, that young people do not know how to open it.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Just about anything from the world of analog probably has, it might as well be Greek to them. They have no reference point. If it's not a screen where they just hit buttons or just, hit a screen, they don't know what to do.
And they're getting very frustrated, which makes for a fun experience to watch. But it is alarming, just again, how antiquated this sort of technology has become.
I would love to see them, to your point, try to record some music off the radio without an iPhone.
If you imagine just setting a cassette tape and a tape dispenser, just a regular Scotch tape dispenser, in front of someone 25 years old or younger and telling them to try and record and then record over, the kind of brain combustion that would come out of that.
It's like an archaeological dig. They just they have no idea. Like, from what era is this? Is this Paleozoic or what? They have no idea whatsoever.
Something else that we're going to talk about quickly, and hopefully we'll get through this before we go to break, is the next story. The next story comes from TikTok as well. It's actually everywhere because it resulted in a principal being put on leave. And this principal is from a California high school. This principal made a huge mistake. There was a pep rally. It was the beginning of this current school year, so just a couple of weeks ago. They were only 3 days into the new school year when this principal participated in the back to school rally. And let me paint the picture for you. The gym is packed. There are students everywhere, all over the bleachers. There's staff everywhere.
Right.
There are even parents and others in attendance to welcome students back to school. And Buhack Colony High School principal Robert Nunez was captured rolling himself towards the school Viking mascot in an office chair while the song Pony by the artist Genuine played during this 40-second video at the pep rally. So Nunez, the principal, approaches the school mascot and appears to place his hands on the mascot's chest. This is one of those big mascot costumes.
Wait, is he like in a chair like he's playing, like this is going to be like a lap dance or something?
Yes, it is going to be a lap dance. So he puts his hands on the mascot's chest. He then the principal slides his hands down the character's chest before other students surround them and appear to kind of try and stop them playfully. The skit stops, and what happens next is what is most problematic.
What happened to Buhack stays in Buhack.
You just heard the voice of Principal Nunez say, "What happens at Buhack stays at Buhack," as he then rolls the mascot away on the chair.
With the exception of if there are like 100 phones with internet capabilities in the audience,
Talk about perpetuity.
Oh my God.
So now Principal Nunez has been placed on administrative leave because of his inappropriate interaction at this pep rally.
and he probably has no idea what he did wrong.
Why would you do this? We were just having a little fun, and I was saying that this principal is probably the fun staff member, but you should not mix fun and inappropriateness. What are you doing?
That principal is probably dating a student.
Oh,
I'm being
easily,
serious.
Easily. He fits that profile if there ever was one. We don't know this. This is all just, conjecture. But when you look
If
at
there was one.
if there was one, what he did with the mascot was highly inappropriate.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We have part 2 of the viral load coming up in just a second.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Now it's time for the viral load with Tiffany. Live on KFI is Later with Mo Kelly. She'll talk about the top hits on social media. The viral load with Tiffany Hobbs.
KFI, Mo Kelly, Tiffany Hobbs. It's part 2 of the viral load.
Well, for years, people have discussed etiquette around what to bring to public spaces in the form of food or drink. When you go to the movies, it's generally frowned on that you bring your own drinks or bring outside candy. You're expected to purchase that $10 package of M&Ms or that $7 soda there and not necessarily try and sneak anything in. Well, the same can be said for restaurants and other places where food and drink are served. However, there's a woman who has gone viral for bringing her own avocado, a singular avocado, to a very fancy smancy restaurant. So on August 18th, a woman named Jasmine Pineda, who's actually a reality TV star, she's appeared on multiple iterations of 90 Day Fiancé, posted a video on her TikTok that caused a lot of conversation around restaurant etiquette. She says, quote, I'm still eating at the restaurant. I'm still tipping. It's harmless. So what she did is she presented on this video, because of course she recorded herself. It wouldn't be the viral load if we didn't talk about people recording themselves for social media. She presented a singular avocado on film and she put it in front of herself, and she's at this restaurant and she starts to cut into it with the restaurant provided cutlery there, and she's enjoying this avocado. She says avocados actually weren't on that particular menu, so she brought her own so she could enjoy it along with the rest of her meal that she would in fact purchase and then tip for. When people question whether or not that was scandalous, she said, well, actually, I've taken avocados to places that do have avocados on the menu. And because the price of avocados at restaurants is so astronomically high, I don't see a problem with bringing my own. Of course, the internet is divided, with some saying, hey, it's okay to do that. I bring my own dressing for my salad, or I bring my own other condiments. There's a famous line by Beyonce who says she keeps hot sauce in her purse. So people weighed in about what they take to restaurants. However, there are others, including restaurateurs such as Andrew Zimmern from the Food Network, who said, it's tacky. Don't do that. If you can't afford to dine there, then don't come.
It is tacky. It is probably against etiquette, but people still do it. I would draw the line somewhere between condiment and food item.
Do you take anything with you?
No. I never do. There are times where I just don't. That's just not what I do, who I am. Now, there's some times where I wish I did. Like, for example, I went to Gladstone's.
Great place.
And this was at City Walk. I don't even think it's there anymore. And I was asking the waitress, and I said, hey, can I get some honey mustard? And they said they didn't have any honey mustard. And I was of the mind to let me just walk next door to this other restaurant, get some and come back. And I remember I was being a smart ass. I said, do you chance... She was young, so maybe she didn't know. I said, do you by chance have any honey? She said, yes. You know where this is going. Can I get a little mustard as well? I said, sure. So you can bring me honey and you can bring me mustard, right? Okay, just do that. And she said, what? And then she figured it out.
She glitched right there.
I'll do it myself. that's the closest I'll get to it.
You are better than I, because I am definitely not opposed to stopping by a Dollar Tree or something and getting some M&Ms and taking those to the movies so I can avoid that $8 exorbitant cost. But in this case, avocados have divided the internet. It's not just about avocado toast. The next story is a quick update. You remember last week when we talked about the TikToker who posted about very demure.
Oh, don't start that again. Yes, I remember.
Very demure, very cutesy. Well, unfortunately, there's some sad news about this phenomenon. So the TikToker Jules LeBron, who has popularized these phrases, unfortunately did not act fast enough, because a person swooped in who is not Jules LeBron, another person, a man from Washington State who has since trademarked each of those phrases and is now cashing in on the very demure, very cutesy, very knowledgeable trend.
I can't be mad at someone's enterprising. I just can't be mad. Yeah.
Very demure.
It's not very demure.
Look, people have, I'll say, squatted on websites. There's a person who owned the harriswalls.com website in the off chance that it might happen, and they got paid, I think, more than $10,000. Look, you made a bet and you cashed it in. And look, I always look for opportunities like that myself, but I don't hang out as much in that quadrant of the internet to find something. I know someone got hot to like within 20 minutes or something.
They did. People are very smart. And I have one last minute surprise entry that's not actually on our schedule because you were talking about bees. So I want to introduce you, Mo, and all the Later with Mo Kelly listeners to a very interesting, very intriguing Instagram account that is both very popular and highly viral. It is called @HowsYourDayHoney. And it's the Instagram account of a woman named Elisha Bixler, who shares her daily beekeeping adventures. She has 474,000 followers on Instagram. And nice. She goes into people's backyards, bedrooms, wherever they may be, and she takes bees and whole hives out of these places in a very safe way. Mo, to your chagrin, she does not destroy. She keeps and rehomes or replaces, and she keeps a spare queen on her at all times in her pocket. She takes this out and she shows it every single time because she knows that in order to move a hive, you have to move a queen.
But what if the hive already has a queen?
Then she'll try and figure out some way around it if she can't integrate a new queen to help. But she has all these tricks and trades about how to remove these hives, and she doesn't shy away from being stung. Beautiful girl. You would never think she's doing this. And she has made a huge following, or created a huge following for How's Your Day, Honey.
Good for her. She's not bringing a bee into my house.
She might.
No, she won't.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes.
And if Mo watched one of her videos, he might actually pass out.
I think you would. And so during the break, we have to do that.
No, we don't. We don't have to do anything.
Now.
We have to go to break.
Let's look at it.
We don't have to watch a damn thing.
Look, Mo, here, look. There's bees. Do you see her? Look at this.
I'm not looking.
She's holding a hive with her. Looking. She has on gloves, pink gloves. Look at this, Mo.
Does she have a thong on?
Yes. Now look. He almost looked.
I'm not following that. Get out.
No.
Take your bees with you.
Take your bees and shove them.
Oh, wow. Got hostile in the studio. It's Later with Mo Kelly.
Not very demure.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And let's talk about sex and the Burning Man Festival. It's in Nevada. And it's dubbed by some as an air-conditioned sex haven. It started on Sunday. They've already had one person die on the first day. The first day. And this is the sixth person, if my math is correct, sixth person who has died since 1990 when Burning Man came to Black Rock. It originally was in Nevada. And part of the, appeal of Burning Man Festival is it's what's being dubbed as an orgy dome. You heard that correctly. An orgy dome. A 26-year-old woman said she attended the event, which generated a long line outside of this orgy dome. Festival workers stood outside to make sure people were sober enough to consent and also made attendees aware of the clear rules inside the dome. Inside, the main space has mattresses on either side of a main walkway, because what's better than mattresses in the dirt? Quote, and this is one of the unidentified people working there, quote, "I was comfortable right away. Once you see a lot of other people having sex, it becomes pretty easy to feel like you can do it too," close quote. That's not true. That's not true. That is definitely not true. I've never walked into a room of people having sex, and I have, and thought like, hey, I feel like jumping in. Scoot over. Might I join you? That has never crossed my mind. And I tell people all the time, because having worked in the music industry, I've seen some stuff. I have. And the idea, the fantasy is always better than the reality. I've been to the Luther Campbell 2 Live Crew parties. I've been to, not the Diddy after parties, but I've been to the Diddy, parties. Okay? The idea of them is a whole lot better, and I would say sexier than the reality. There's certain things that I didn't want to see that I happened to see. There's certain smells that I don't want to ever smell again. There are certain acts that I've seen performed on people that I don't ever want to see again. And if Tuala were here, he probably knows about this. There was this one time, closest thing to like the Burning Man I can think of. Went to Urban Network, which was an urban music festival held in Palm Springs every single year. There was a music retailer in this room, and so there about maybe 30, 35 people, and about maybe 10 self-employed models, maybe, okay? And for some reason, either he was high, drunk, both. He said it was something to the effect of it was his fantasy to have X, Y, and Z done to him. But this was in a room of 40, 50 people. I just happened to be walking in there. I swear to God, I just happened to be walking in.
Sure.
No, because it's in a hotel. And so you hear all this, go, 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 go.
Oh
so
God.
Curiosity's like,
Wait, what?
Yes.
Being cheered on?
yes.
Now I want that. I want people to cheer me on.
I wish I could tell you the full story, but part of his fantasy was he was on all fours.
Oh, God.
Oh?
And there was an insertion.
Okay.
All right, my point is, just because you walk in and see people doing stuff, nothing crossed my mind saying, hey, let me get a piece of that.
I hope not.
No, but I'm just saying, no. And to the other extreme, I've walked in rooms it's always a music convention where people are just full on, it's F Fest 2000, okay? And it's about as unsexy as you might imagine.
I'm gonna buy that internet name, that F Fest 2000, and go ahead and capitalize.
So the point of this is when someone says to me about Burning Man, quote, "I was comfortable right away. Once you see a lot of other people having sex, it becomes pretty easy to feel like you can do it too," close quote. Look, I wish I could have met her when I was in high school. I wish there was something like this when I was in my early 20s. But the way it's being described, you got mattresses in the dirt and out in the desert or wherever, and you just walk in and people are boinking and bumping uglies all around you. It doesn't
Very demure.
It doesn't seem very demure. It doesn't seem very sexy.
No.
Maybe if I did drugs, it would have. I'm being serious. I've never done drugs. I've only used alcohol, but I've never done any type of drug. No ecstasy, no cocaine, none of that stuff. So here comes Tuala. I think he knows about the time I'm talking about.
Boy.
Okay, go ahead and plug it in. We got time. Take your time. Plug in your headphones.
Look.
Okay.
I
do you remember what I'm talking about? Urban Network.
I do, and
So I'm telling the true story.
it's a very, very true story. In the Deadpool trailer, Ryan Reynolds actually said that this act may be new to Disney, but it's not new to him.
Right.
Here we go.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the parallel.
Yes.
All I'm saying is I've seen some things. I've done some things. But I've seen some things that directly contradict the idea of just because you see a bunch of people having sex, it makes you want to join in. No.
Man.
Now, Mo.
Uh-oh.
I'm just saying. I just heard you saying a lot of what you would and would not partake in, and that's fine. But we have both seen individuals participate in group activities willingly and actually be like, sign me up first. We've seen it happen, so we know how it goes down, where individuals were all lined up and they were contested to see who could get to the finish line first.
Okay, let me just tell the story for those who haven't heard it. This is a true story, and this was at the Impact convention in Miami.
Impact?
Yeah, it's called Impact.
Burning Man, Impact.
Yeah,
Getting better.
It was
and better.
actually it was at the Fontainebleau Hotel. That's how specific I can get. I was working for Interscope Records at the time. We were promoting Dr. Dre's Aftermath label. 50 Cent had just been signed. Eminem had just dropped his first album. I have a plaque to that album to this day in my office at home. I was working in urban promotions for a guy by the name of Kevin Black. He's one of the preeminent rap promoters in the business. He started off at Death Row Records. Okay, so there's nothing that he wouldn't do. My job when I got to Miami was to hire the talent local, because if they were out of state, that would have been trafficking. Okay.
Yes.
That's the first part.
Yes.
No, I'm being serious. That's part of the story. And we had a contest in a hotel suite where we brought in DJs from around the country. They were about maybe, I'm guessing 12 to 15 women who were hired to help out with the contest.
What are your hands doing right now?
Because I'm trying to describe this as best I can without describing
What are
it
you
as
doing?
worst I can. So they had 12 to 15 women who were going to help out with the contest. We had 15 to 20 DJs roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were another 50 to 100 people in this hotel suite just watching.
Yep.
The contest was very simple. The first person who could come to a happy ending would win $1,000.
Oh, the pressure.
Well, that's why they had talent there to help them out on their journey.
Yes.
How kind.
I was not at the one in Miami. I was at the sequel in Palm Springs.
Yes.
And I watched the record rep from same label rep.
Was that CW?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Real talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Assist with putting pillows on the ground and asking a bunch of program directors, music directors to come and line up and ask the local talent to assist in these individuals' pursuit of winning a cash prize to come to a happy ending. Wait, no.
Or arrive at
a happy ending. To smile in the end. Look.
These are true stories. So I have a point of reference. And the reality was, it was about as unsexy a scene as you might imagine. And I have 35 other stories that I can't tell on the air. I can't even approach them.
Well, you can tell them off the air.
Yes, I can, and I will.
Well, now we know where the burning sensation comes from at Burning Man. Crickets? Nothing? Foosh? Nothing?
Not a damn thing.
Stingy.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. And I know George Norris saying, what in the hell are they doing? I don't want to talk to this guy.
Yeah, he's skipping this handoff.
No pun intended. KFI, Mr. Mo Kelly, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, Coast to Coast AM with the George Norrie, who joins me right now on the line. George, it's always good to talk to you.
Oh, it's great talking with you. We've got a great paranormal night on Coast to Coast. Poltergeist, demons, psychic encounters. We've got it all tonight on Coast to Coast.
Very quickly, is there a movie which is at the top of your list of a paranormal nature?
I like the old movie Poltergeist. Remember that one?
1982, yes, one of my favorites of all time. Absolutely. Craig T. Nelson, Joe Beth Williams. Absolutely.
Good memory, my friend.
See? We can agree on some things.
Yes, we can.
I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Bye.
You notice I didn't bring up anything about our previous conversation.
He was ready to cut you right the hell off if you brought that up.
I was not going to test that boundary.
Not worth that.
No, I would have heard it from Robin the boss. It's like, why did you do that to George? Why did you put him in that position? He doesn't like that stuff.
No, I heard him scold somebody last night for saying the word crap on the air. Do you think he wants to talk about your orgy dome?
No. It wasn't our orgy dome.
It's your orgy dome.
No,
yours.
It was Burning Man.
Or it made me think of Thunderdome. Mad Max Thunderdome. Like, where's Master Blaster?
Who's the master?
All of this is bad now.
Who runs bar to town?
All bad now.
Master Blaster. Master Blaster runs bar to town.
Not in the dome.
Context is everything.
Yeah.
All I can say to you is, and I know someone might be listening saying, Mo, you're probably making some of this stuff up. I swear to you, it is all 100% true. And there's more gory and sordid details that I can only hint at on the radio. So when I look at a story like Burning Man and they have their orgy dome, I have a specific point of reference. It may not have been a dome. They might have called it the Marriott Suites. It's pretty much the same, inside the walls.
Mo, I have a question. So if you ever did like a Mo After Hours podcast, would you be allowed to talk about a lot of this stuff, or is it still under like legal ramifications?
I could talk about it, but I could not talk about it with the specificity of like names and where I worked.
I see.
Because people would be able to piece things together and they would know, oh, okay, I know you work for so and so at that time, or that type of thing. When I say Kevin Black, he wouldn't care. He would not care. Actually, he would be proud.
He might actually have a videotape of it and be ready to show you.
Yeah.
But you got to think like a lot of these people that are contemporaries and people that we worked with at that time. These are individuals who are still our friends. These are individuals who we do still hang out, still married, still, we do not want to ruin any of their relationships. And sometimes some things need to stay in the past. It's just if you were there and you saw any of the sheer naked debauchery that we saw, you would look at these stories and be like, sure.
I have a question. Did you guys ever experience any of the significant others bursting into the rooms to try and kind of stop it, or
It's different. It was different. One, you didn't have smartphones. We had phones and two-way pagers, but we didn't have it was different. Now, we had a lot of wives of music executives who kind of knew what was going on, and they might have been trying to find out. My boss, when I was working at Virgin Records, his wife was always trying to figure out what was going on, and my job was to not let her know. Just look, I want to keep my job. So where is so-and-so? I'm sorry. I don't know. He said he was going out with the programmers from KJLH, which was true. They just happened to be at the Bunny Ranch in Nevada.
I mean, we actually have a friend in common who worked at MCA, whose longtime girlfriend used to be at some of those parties with him, initials TM. And he actually ended up marrying her. And I remember her being at some of these events. And at first I think she was like kind of his assistant with promotions, and she saw it firsthand, and they got married and they were very happy.
Yeah. I made it very clear. I couldn't marry someone who worked in the music industry because, and actually this is a true story. My wife, and she's not going to get mad at me for saying this because we've talked about this explicitly. She does not ask me about my time in the music business because nothing good is going to come of it. Absolutely nothing good.
Yeah.
Memories like the corners of my mind.
It's hard to rhyme with statute of limitations, isn't it?
No. Look, they've expired. That's all that matters. I didn't commit murder. That's the only one that I would have to worry about. as far as statute of limitations, of which there is not one. But all that other stuff, I'm just talking about not ruining lives and families.
Oh, that was a heartwarming story about the two people getting married. Look at all the things they have to look back on fondly now.
Did he say fondling?
It's like a Hallmark type of movie. Hallmark should make this film.
Well, all I'm saying is we had the serious discussion about the Me Too movement. Y'all don't even know. Y'all do not even know what was going on in the music business, which would make what was happening in movie and television pale. It's pale in comparison. The things that we're seeing now in the news talking about Burning Man or Coachella or what have you, it's nice to get a chuckle out of them, but they don't compare to what most people would say is the heyday of music. One, you are coming out of the era which is just past payola, where you're paying for records to get played, but there wasn't stringent oversight. It was just beneath the surface. And so that payola led to payment in goods and services for all sorts of things. It could be paying for a a radio programmer and his mistress to go on vacation or something, putting kids through school. It was wild, wild west. And every single night we would go out to the clubs. We'd sit with DJs and programmers, and someone would put down their black card. It's like, because we all knew each other, who had the card down for the night? And we would all just drink or whatever and party, and the company would pay for it because it would come out of their T&E travel expenditure. Yeah. And you can't do any of that anymore. None of that.
Oh, good times.
But I can say I've lived. Oh, I've lived. I don't need Burning Man. I've lived Burning Man.
You don't want that life.
Not anymore.
Burning Man.
No. So put it this way. Here's the moral of the story before we get out of here. The whole idea of walking into a room with mattresses and people having sex from corner to corner, it may sound glorious, but it's really not. It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
Opinion without the preach.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.